Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you all to our general meeting of the LPGRA. We do finally have video back, so this is being recorded for YouTube. So just be aware that you're on film. Okay, Pam is walking around with the 50/50 raffle. It's $1 for one ticket or $3 for two tickets. No, I'm sorry, 3 tickets for $2. Okay, $2 will get you 3 tickets. We'll do the drawing for the 50/50 raffle at the end after we adjourn the meeting. And the funds that we collect from the 50/50 raffle go toward the expenses that the board incurs in trying to keep the website going and paper and all that kind of stuff. So we do appreciate your participation in that. She is also going to pass out one red ticket at the end. That will be for our $20 drawing, and that will take place right after the 50/50 drawing. Okay, so if you would all like to stand, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oops. Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'd like to introduce the board members, the current board members. My name is Peggy Marcone. I'm the president of the LPGRA. Over here, we have our first vice president. This is Sue Smith. And over here, we have Donna Mueller. She is our second vice president. And our treasurer is running around selling raffle tickets. She's over there. And over here, we have Dee Hammond. She is our secretary. She has a tough job. And she does a great job. We tend to talk a lot because we're women, so she takes all those notes. Okay, so I did email blast all of the residents that are on our email list. You should have received the minutes from the last general meeting. I hope you had time to read those over. Is there anyone with any questions about the minutes from the last month's meeting? Okay, then at this time, I'd like to take a motion to accept them as written. Thank you. A second? Second. And, oh, yes. Okay, if you'd like, we'll take the registration for that up here. You can come up and just give us what your email address is. If you're not getting it from us, you may not also be getting it from activities in the front office. So you might want to check with them to make sure that they have your email address if you haven't been getting their email blasts. Oh, okay, all right. Then just let us know and we'll add you to the list. That's how we do it is, what we did is we went through the entire phone book, compared all of the email addresses that we had and added the ones that we didn't have so that we hit 843 residents of the community right now. There are 830 homes in here. So that's not how many people are in here. So we have, where we're doing like 2 people in one household. So we're always looking to add more names. So if you're not receiving the email, please let us know. If you'd like to receive it, we'd be more than happy to add you to that. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so I'd like to take a vote. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? And any abstentions? Okay, the minutes are accepted as written. And at this time, we will have our treasurer's report by Pam Williams.
Good morning, everyone. This is the balance as of 9/30, September 30th. The beginning balance was $848.25. We had a deposit for 50/50, $56. And the September recycle total was $104.90 for a total of 160.90 deposits. Our only expense last month was for $105 to Shane McNeil, which was for our website updates, cleanups, purge files, update menu, which was $75. And for July and August, $15 each, $30, which is a total of $105. Our total balance, excuse me, is $904.15 through the 30th. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we need a motion to accept the treasurer's report as given. Thank you, Bud. Second to that? Thank you. And, okay, if we could have a vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, so the treasurer's report passes as given. A question, and I wanted to put this in here just for now. One had questioned, what do we pay our webmaster? The amount of work that he did on our website was extensive. It was back and forth, trying to make sure that everything was done decently and in order. And he did a fantastic job. If you go on the website, if you've been on there before, you may, if you go on now, you may find that there's been no corrections, which is what happened to me. So I called the webmaster and said, what happened? He said, you have to dump the history of you being on that website before, because your whatever that is, the system that you use will bring up what was there before. So if you dump the history of it and then sign in like this is the first time, it'll show you the new website. So we did remove a lot of stuff. We will have more stuff going in on it. But I do want to say that Shane did us a huge favor, because that was a lot of work, a lot of conversation back and forth to make sure that we got it the way that we needed it. And he did a fantastic job. So I think it's much, there were links on there that didn't even exist. So we got rid of all that. We cleaned everything up and made it user-friendly. So that's on there. I will say that we did put the bylaws on there. We also put the rules and regulations on there. So the draft of them. So all of that is right there at your fingertips. Okay, next on our agenda, we're going to have the committee reports. The first one is Neighborhood Watch. Donna Mueller is our board member that is the head of that. And Bob Kraus is the one who is handling it. So Donna's going to come first to talk to us about Neighborhood Watch.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Oh, good. Neighborhood Watch is still up and running. There are a few changes. Bob Kraus, our new coordinator, has been working diligently on this, and he's made some really good changes, and I think you're going to like it. We still need block captains. If anybody is interested, please come up front, ask us questions. We had a good time. We all met on the 20th of September. Bob gave us a lot of the new information, and it was great. We had a good time. We had snacks and drinks, and that's what we plan to do for all the meetings. So if you're scared thinking that this is a job, it's not. It's really not. Just come on up and ask us about it so that we can explain it to you, because we need more volunteers to help with our security around here. And without further ado, I am going to introduce Bob Kraus to you, who is our new our Neighborhood Watch coordinator. Bob?
I am Bob Kraus, and I've just moved into the area in April, so I'm still getting used to streets, where everything is at. So bear with me. One of the things I found when I got involved with Neighborhood Watch, I sat down with Dawn Blake from Mesa Police. She explained a lot of the past and a lot of the errors that were made in the past. In the past, we had about somewhere near 60 or 70 captains that were required to watch our neighbors in certain segments of the community. And we found out, yeah.
Could you talk straight into the mic, please?
How's that? All right. What I found was that the way the sections were in the community is that they backed into the houses. And what we rearranged was to select blocks that are facing each other. So each neighbor can actually look across the street and see their neighbor and see if it's secure. And this eliminated about 40 block captains that were necessary. We brought it down to 26 blocks captains that are needed. We have in need, as Donna had mentioned, we need a lot more block captains in the area. To explain the program, you're welcome to come one of our meetings, which should be, I think, in the next week or so. We organized the block captains that we have now. We've created a new letter that we're going to pass around to all the homes in the area, explaining what the Neighborhood Watch program is, explaining the details as to what to report, when to report it, who to report it to. And there's a hierarchy. You have, from residents, we'll call the block captains will call me, and then, or you go directly to a 911 call. I have brochures here, which is the handout we're going to give to all the residents, which explains all this. And it's a crime prevention, but it's more of a safety and security for the community. Everyone should just pitch in, get to know your neighbor, let them know that this exists. And there's a lot more programs that are going to come along. We're going to be in the website, kind of updating safety. There are things you can do in your home, get more lights in the right area of your house to prevent anyone from looking at you as a target. Make sure you have windows are all locked, the car doors are locked, things like that. We need captains. We have about 13 sections that need captains. We will be going around asking everyone to participate, and which is not really much of anything except keep your eyes and ears open. That's all you do. We're just an extension arm of the police department. That's about it. All right. Thank you. Are we out there? Okay.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Next, we have Sue Smith. She's going to talk to us about our LPG Observer, our newsletter.
Good morning. How many of you out there eat Raisin Bran? Good, there's a few of you that do. Well, I want you to know I do too, and I bit down on a raisin. And that raisin took my crown and tooth right off. I tell you that because I'm missing a tooth. And if I told you that story, I felt I would feel better and not talk with my teeth clenched. So I'll talk normally now that you know what's going on with me. Now, how many of you read the Quarterly Observer newsletter? Okay, I got some hands there. Well, the next issue is coming out about 1 month from today on the 5th. I'm excited about it. I think it's got some good stories in it. And I won't tell you what the preceding newsletter topic will be about, but this one was all about embarrassing moments at work when we used to work, looking back at those moments. So if you do have a story that you haven't submitted, go ahead and submit it or call me and tell me, because then I'll write it up. So anyway, look forward to the newsletter. What I'm going to do is wait for the next general meeting, see what the election is like, and then put the election news into the newspaper. So that's it.
I didn't know you were taller than me. Okay, thank you, Sue. Next, we're going to skip down here. We're going to go to elections with Dee Hammond. She's going to talk to us and explain a little bit about that. Our next meeting will be our election, so this is important. Thank you, Dee.
Good morning, everyone. I want to show you, this is what the election ballot, is that better? Thank you.
Stupid thing.
I won't breathe on it. This is what the election ballot will look like, and all you need to do is come in and check if you want these, or there's also a section for you to write in if you want someone on the board. Can you hear me back there? No?
They can't hear you.
Okay. Okay, can you hear now? Okay, all right, I'll lean forward. Okay, what I was saying is on the ballot, there's the 3 candidates here. You just put your X by those if you want those. And down here, there's 2 places if you would rather put in a write-in ballot. If you have a write-in person, please be considerate and talk to that person before you put their name on there, because we don't want to be contacting them and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. So make sure they're interested if you write in their name and you've already discussed that with them. I'm going to give you a little information about the 3 candidates that we have. The first one, and then I will introduce them and have them come up. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about them first. First one is Sue Smith. She is currently our first vice president, and she has chose to run again. She probably will not have the same position in the board, but you never know. But she did say she would like to continue being on the board to bring about more positive change in our community. She finds it a privilege to serve our community in this way. She also says that it's a fulfilling job as she sees accomplishments that the board has achieved. That's Sue Smith. The next one we have is Peggy Marcone. She's currently our president, and she's chose to run a second time. And she says she works well with others and attempts to reach amicable solutions to each issue brought before the board. She also said that when she was running before, she wanted to help everyone else to be as happy as she is living here in the community. The third person we have is Linda Gurley. She unfortunately wasn't able to be here this morning. She had a prior engagement. She said her strengths are good old-fashioned Midwest values, which I like that. I'm from the Midwest myself. And she also wants to give back time to her community. Those are our 3 candidates. And right now, I'm going to introduce Sue Smith and have her come up and say a couple words to you. Sue, would you come up?
Well, I think Dee has kind of spoken for me. I will say that this past year, I have been a wingman for our president. I have flown around different places trying to solve some things that she didn't have time for. And that's what a first vice president does, is support the president as much as they can. I've enjoyed doing it all year, and I really do appreciate everyone in this audience, because you care about your community enough to come out to a meeting. And that I truly appreciate. And I've enjoyed serving all of you for this past 2 years.
Thank you, Sue. Now I'm going to bring up Peggy Marcone and let her say a couple of words.
I still say I want everybody to be just as happy here as I am. I love LPG, and I'm really glad that my husband and I were able to be able to buy in this community and take up our residence here. Being on the board, I've been on the board for 3 years, I think it is, and I have truly enjoyed it. And as president, I've found that a lot more people know me than I know. People come up to me and talk to me, and they tell me issues they may have, or sometimes we just get compliments, which I think is great. I love meeting people. I love that whole aspect of getting to know. I'm happy, but I want everybody else to be happy, and I can't find out how you're going to be happy unless I know what's going to make you happy. So I really enjoy the interaction with the residents. I think I have a very good rapport with management. And it's not that I'm taking management's position all the time, but we're not adversaries. We work together trying to come up with a solution that everyone's going to benefit from. So I've really enjoyed that relationship that we have with management. And our board has been fantastic. We all work together. Sue said that she's my wingman. Yes, she is. But I also want to say that the other ladies that are on the current board have been extremely helpful. There's been a lot of issues that have come up, and we all work together to get a solution on them. So I'm very pleased with it, and I really hope that y'all vote for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Peggy. I want to let everybody know, please come back next month on the 3rd of November to cast your ballot. We also have an absentee ballot, and that will be on the lpgra.org website. So come on out and make this board strong again. Thank you. Yes.
Is there any reason why the board is all female?
Yes, there is. The reason is that none of the males want to join the board. If we have anybody that's a male that's interested, we're more than welcome to have them on the ballot. So just let us know. Yes.
But I'm not familiar with the process. People that want to run, are they running at large or are they running for a position?
They're running at large. And then after the vote is taken, all of the board members, the next board meeting, that's when we decide who's going to be in what position. But anybody, male or female, it's not too late if you're interested. No? Okay. Come on down and let us know. Thank you so much.
She has my agenda. Okay, we're going to have Pam come up and talk to us about, no, we're not. Just hold on.
One more thing. Could you let him know? Oh, sorry. I wanted to let you know that the ballot is also on the website along with the absentee ballot. So thank you.
I hate to do this, but I think I have to do a correction on that. I think it's only the absentee ballot is on there. The actual ballot will be handed out on November 3rd. So when you come in the door, you'll have access to a ballot. You can vote, and then we'll collect the ballots, and we will have a team in the back that's counting ballots during the course of the meeting. So we'll take care of the election right at the beginning. Okay. All right, and the last one we have here is recycling. We have Pam Williams is going to speak to us about recycling. Nothing? No, just if there's any issues.
Okay, the only issues that the recycling is having is this past month, Bob received 4 medical batteries that were replaced in the recycle. That is not acceptable. We only take aluminum cans and plastic clear drink bottles, soda bottles, that type of stuff. And we've also had someone drop their whole bag of household garbage. That is not acceptable. Please put those items in your garbage cans at home. Other than that, it's going well. Thank you.
Okay, sorry about the lag there. The next thing that we're going to do here, we have a guest speaker. If you were here at Java Time, Dennis Headings spoke at Java Time. We also want to have him had the opportunity to talk to those that came in later. He is from Storm Damage Specialists. They're the roof guys. So Dennis, if you'd like to come up.
to some of you hello again. One of the things I want to point out is on the table, on the white sheet there is a list of the windstorms that have happened since August the 18th, I believe. There have been 10 windstorms in here that qualify. Those are windstorms that are on weather sites that qualify, that's at least 50-mile-an-hour winds. On the second two sheets, you have different types of roof. If you have the roof that is a 3-tab shingle original roof, you absolutely have a great chance of getting your roof paid for by insurance companies, and that's what we do. And if you don't have a claim, or if it's something that we can't get through right now, we tell you, we help you maintain your roof until it comes to a point where we have another hailstorm or something comes through. Anytime that you're going to replace an AC, you're going to replace a roof, you're going to replace siding, screening, anything like that, contact somebody that does a lot of storm damage work. That's what you're buying your insurance for. Your insurance isn't going to call you and tell you that they have a claim, that you could get a claim on them. They're not going to do that. You need somebody to come out and help you go through the process and also work through the process. We file over 350 claims a year. We know the claim game because it is a game, trust me. You guys do this once or twice in your lifetime. So when you're going into that field, call somebody who knows what they're doing, because also the insurance companies are not going to pay you everything they need to pay you on the front end. Some of the people in here we've had to fight claims and win claims for. Some of them it took almost a year to get the claim paid for. But we stick with it. If I take you on as a client, I guarantee you the only thing you pay is your deductible, and I will get you a roof. That will do. And I will tell you that's probably 98% of the time that works, because these roofs are not large enough to take to a claim, to a lawsuit. And we take it down to the floor. Once it comes to a lawsuit, if the insurance company is going to hold off, which a couple of them in here have, then there's nothing else we can do, because you got a $10,000 roof. It's not worth going to a lawsuit for. The attorneys will take all that money on the front end. So do that. The other thing I want to point out is during these windstorms, I was on a roof over here this morning, number 440. She's got 4 shingles that have been lifted and loose. Those shingles, she doesn't have enough to get a claim. The insurance company is not going to pay for a whole roof for 4 loose shingles. And if your shingles were beat up, different story, hers aren't. So what I'm going to do after this is go over there and reattach the shingles. But it was brought up to me that it's very important how that's done. If you have a patch guy come out and working on your roof, make sure whatever he does can't be seen. Meaning that if he's going to put caulk to put a shingle back on, put it underneath the shingle and set it on there. What that does, that immediately identifies when the storm damage happened on that one shingle. And the insurance companies, they'll come out and they'll say, that's an old storm, that's an old storm, that's an old storm. In all reality, the insurance companies have to pay for damage no matter when the storm happened if they had you covered during that period of time, except for you have a 2-year window to file the claim. Anything over 2 years, they can say it's something that happened too long ago. So I just want to make sure if you have a handyman come out, do your roof, make sure that he is not just putting caulk and throwing tar all over your roof. If you have a handyman come out and using black tar, do not put that on your roof. That hardens, it cracks, it'll last about 2 years. So don't use black tar. Use the white elastomeric tar stuff, anything like that. Sun here is so intense that roof products are reacting different here than they do up north than they do on the West Coast, East Coast. This is a very hot area, so that's what takes place. I gladly come out and look at roofs. I also sit down with you, go over your insurance policies. I think some of you in here that's had us, we go through your insurance policies. We know who pays claims. I file over 300 claims a year. I know who pays claims, who doesn't pay claims. So if you've got a carrier that's not paying claims, I will tell you that when I sit down with you. I won't call any carrier out in public, but if I sit down with you, and I'll also go through your policies. If you guys go through your policies right now, I guarantee you 80% of you are paying for an additional structure on your policy. None of you have an additional structure. 0. If you got a shed that's sitting next in your carport, if the shed is not attached to your house, but the awning going over your shed is attached to your house, that's all part of the dwelling. That's not an additional structure. It's that shed that sits out in the back of your yard. If you got a $5,000 or $1,000 tough shed out there, that doesn't match your deductible. So you're not going to get any claim on that stuff. So look at your policies if you have that. Those are things you can save. It's $15, $20 a year, but there's little things like that. The other thing you're going to want to do in here is go back and look at the value of your home. I promise you, most of you right now are underinsured. These values in here have skyrocketed. I mean, what's the highest price that's sold in here? $350. I doubt if anybody in here has an insurance policy for $350, $350,000 for their house. This is how this works. God forbid you pull up and your place is in ashes. Whatever that number is beside your dwelling, you don't get replacement on a total loss. You get whatever that number is you bought. If you got $100,000 there, that's what you're going to get for that dwelling. And you're not going to get anything for an additional structure that you're paying for because you don't have that. And your internal contents, if you're paying more than $40,000 for insurance in there, I'm telling you, you're paying too much. If more than $40,000, what the insurance company is going to reimburse you for, you couldn't get 2 more chopsticks in these things if you had that much in there. I'm telling you. So look at your policies, bring your policies up to date on what the value of your home is. All of you will have different values because you have different size in here, but you can talk within the park and find out what's selling. That's what you would do, because you don't want to be underinsured, because if you do pull up and your house is in ashes and you're going to get $100,000 for that house, you can't buy a place in here for $100,000. You can't do that. So then you're going through a tragedy and you're going through a lifestyle change at the same time. Those are 2 things you don't want to do back to back. So go look at your policies, make sure your policies are up to date. Guarantee you your agent's not going to have any problem you calling them and saying you want to increase the value of your home. But you're buying that policy for a reason. You're buying that policy to protect your home. The most expensive asset we have, 90% of us do not understand how that insurance policy works on that asset. And that's where we are. So we bring a lot of expertise. Roofing is the easiest thing that I do. I'm also an insurance adjuster. I have a license for insurance adjusters. I've got a property and casualty license. We know the game. We know how this stuff works really well. So you can call me I'll gladly sit down with you and go through your policy. I don't charge it for anything for that. But if you need a roof later, I'd appreciate you calling me back and let me do that. So I can make sure you're properly insured. I can make sure you're properly covered. And if you have damage now, we can get the insurance company to pay for your roof. If you have any questions, please come up and talk to me. Yeah.
Most of our houses originally have 20-year roofing put on. And 20 years is either over up or almost up.
Correct.
Do you recommend putting 20-year on it or 30-year on it?
The only thing that you would want to put back on it now, the only shingle that's manufactured is the architectural shingle, which is a 30-year shingle. The 3-tab shingle that you see out here, the only place you can buy that shingle now is at a Home Depot or at a Lowe's. There's not one major supplier that we use that carries it. They're not making it anymore. The 3-tab shingle is gone. And it's a good story because a lot of times I walk into a house and I saw this 30-year shingle and I have a lot of people going, you got a cheap 10-year shingle. So because they don't really care about 30 years at this point. But the only shingle you'll get, I don't care what kind of shingle you have on your house, the insurance company is going to pay you back for a 25-year shingle if that's what you got on your house. It's mainly 25. But we would put on a 30-year architectural shingle. We have to carry the warranty. My company does, so we put on what we know is not going to cause us problems. So that's a good one for that. Anything else? I have one more joke. I do have one more joke. Is that all right?
Yes.
Okay. So there was a local barber who was going to do a community service and give free haircuts at his choice to people when they came in. So the first week he was doing the local florist brought her 2 boys in. He gave them free haircuts. She was so enamored that the next day he walked into his office and he had a dozen roses waiting by his front door. He goes, this is nice. The next day, that day he gives a policeman a haircut for free. The next day he comes to the office and opens it up. There's a dozen donuts there waiting for him. So that day he'll do it again. So this day he gives a politician a free haircut. The next day he shows up, there's 12 politicians waiting at his door. Thank you all.
Wow, he's tall. If you have any questions or anything, Dennis is going to stay after, so you can go up and talk to him. If you want him to come over and check out your place, I know he'll be more than willing to do that. I know we had him replace our roof, and it was done, I would say, very professionally. I was very pleased with it. We had one spot that we were questioning, and they came back and took care of it immediately. So I do recommend them. Personally, I recommend them. Okay, next on our agenda is the open items list. This is where we have fun and find out all the solutions to all our problems, and then we're happy. So, first of all, I just want to make a comment. We did have a resident that just moved in now 4 days ago. She has offered to, she is a retired nurse. She's offered to do blood pressure and heart rate monitoring for you. We're still working out the plans for that, but I wanted to let you know that in the future, we will be having that. We're not sure if it's going to take place during Java time or if it'll take place during our resident association meeting. So I just wanted to put that out there for you so you're aware of that. And I already spoke to you about the website being updated. The candidates are listed on there also for the election, along with pictures, so you can see what everybody looks like. And I already told you about trying to sign in again on that. We have up front here, right here on the table, last year, we made a donation to the Veterans Hospital and also to Sunshine Acres from the Resident Association. And we needed to do that in order to maintain our nonprofit status. We are preparing to do that again, and it was put out earlier this year that the residents would like to have more input on who we send these donations to. The reason why we did those two last year was because when this was first brought up that it needed to be done, those were the two that was suggested. We never got any more suggestions. So we're pushing this a little bit more this year. We've been mentioning this at our monthly meetings, and we've had this up here. How many do we have so far? We have three meetings. Okay, we've been doing it for 3 months. And how many companies? We have 5 nonprofits that have been suggested so far. So you still have time to do it again. And then we're going to vote on that to find out exactly who's going to get and how much. And that comes out of the money that we've been collecting with the recycling and the 50/50 raffle. So if you have a suggestion, please come up and sign here for that. And I always have to bring this up, dogs. We're still getting complaints about dogs not on leashes and dogs that are in the mailroom. In fact, I went in there last night and there was a gentleman in there with his dog, which was causing other people to walk around his dog because his dog was running. It was a playful thing. It was not aggressive at all, but the dog was playful and jumping up on people. So just if you have any question about what the rules are for the dogs, it's in the leash, not the leash. And it's also on our website now so that you can read exactly what that is. If you moved in here without a dog or a cat, please be aware that you do need to register your dog or cat with the office. There is 1 pet allowed per household. If you moved in prior and there were more, you had 2 pets at the time, there was a certain amount of time that was allowed here. That is not allowed any longer. So if one of your pets dies, you do not have the freedom to go out and buy another one. You can't replace a pet if you have more than 1 pet. You can only have 1 per household. This area around here, it's called Palm Circle. It goes from the sidewalk over here to the sidewalk over here to the sidewalk there to the sidewalk here. That's Palm Circle. There are no dogs allowed to walk within that circle. If you want to walk your dog around here, walk them on the other side of the street. There's brown spots on the grass, and some of them are coming from the animals that are doing their business. I talked with one of the maintenance people yesterday about, I said, is there really a problem with droppings left on the lawns? And he said, all the time. He says, we see it all over the place. That's not supposed to be. So please clean up after your dog. Please keep your dog on a leash. If you walk out of your house with your dog, it's to be on your leash, on a leash. It's not that you can walk your dog on your driveway, or you can go out on your stones or in your backyard without a leash. They're supposed to be on a leash at all times. Okay. Okay. That's enough about dogs. We had some comments, the comment request compliment forms that have come in. I will address those. One was for the low spots in the retention areas. There's a couple back by the pool. You'll see where the lawn dips down quite deeply and there's water that's standing in them from time to time. Those low spots get clogged intermittently. And the concern was that mosquitoes could breed in there. And I hate mosquitoes and they love me. So anyway, Corinne McWilliams is the Vice President of Operations for Thesman. She stated that the area is serviced a couple times every year. It is a backwash from the fountains that comes through there. And I don't know how it all works, but she says from time to time it gets clogged. And when it does, they have a company that comes and they clean out the clogs so that the water can run freely and drain properly. So just so that you're aware, they are aware of it and they do clean it out several times a year. A request was made for the meals on Veterans Day to be paid for by Thesman for all veterans that were attending. Right now, it's half price for any veteran that's attending the luncheon on Veterans Day. That is not going to happen. Veterans pay $6. Everyone else pays $12. Thesman communities are run on a budget. It is not in the budget to pay the extra. It was mentioned if Thesman doesn't pay for it, perhaps activities should pay for it. Activities is part of the Thesman budget, so therefore they're on the same budget. They have a budget that's set every year, and it doesn't include paying full price for certain people at different times of the year, which sounds kind of cold-hearted, but then you have things like, I think I made a list here. It opens up the door for other groups, like maybe mothers should come for free on Mother's Day, and fathers should come for free on Father's Day. And on Memorial Day, any family that was affected by the fact that they had a loved one deceased in a war, perhaps they should have a free meal. Labor Day, anybody that goes to work should have a free meal. So some of that was kind of silly, but it does open the door for people starting to claim that their group is special too. And yes, we do appreciate the veterans, and I think that Thesman Communities does recognize the veterans nicely. And I know that they have Red Shirt Friday, every Friday. And, so there are groups for veterans, and I know that they always recognize veterans on Veterans Day and Memorial Day and all that. So that will not happen. The other suggestion was that the resident association pay for all the veterans' meals. We don't have that much money. Sorry. And that's right. And the veterans are not classified as nonprofit, so we would wind up in trouble with the IRS. And I don't want that. Okay. Another question was the lawns and the watering. You noticed, it's probably been about a month now, they scalp the lawns. They do that every year. They go through and they scalp it, and then they overseed it with the winter grass. People wanted them not to be watering, not to do the overseeding, it's called. And the city of Mesa had made a recommendation that perhaps people would skip the overseeding for this year due to the drought. We've had a lot of rain, which has been wonderful. They have already overseeded. It's already been done. And yes, they will water. I want you to know that the water they use is not drinkable water. It's called gray water. It's not black water. That's the really bad stuff. The gray water is not drinkable, and that's the water that they use to water the lawns here. Yes, there will be runoff. And there's, if you want to hold it to the end, Bob, thanks. There'll be runoff. There'll be, you know, do we like that? No. Is it avoidable? No. They've worked with landscape companies to make sure that as much water as can be stays right on the grass. It just doesn't happen. The other suggestion was that they replace all of the grass with stone. Right. No one wants that. I mean, that was one of the suggestions. Another suggestion was that they replace all of the beautiful plants that we have with only desert plantings, which it's called, oh, I have it here. Xeriscape landscaping. You still need to water the plants, not as much, yes, so there is some savings there. It's extremely expensive. It's the most expensive landscaping that you could do, okay? Which means we'd have to tear out everything that's in here that isn't desert. It's not going to happen either. The other suggestion was getting the turf, you know, I call it plastic grass. That is also horrendously expensive. It gets very hot. Dogs cannot walk on it unless you get a very special kind, because it'll burn their paws. And it does need, it breaks down, especially in the sun here, it does break down. There are brands that are made specifically for areas like this. However, they're even more expensive, and it does need to be replaced every, I think it's 5 to 7 years. So that's an extremely expensive proposition. So the grass will be watered. There will be runoff. They try to control as much as they can. And as I said, they work with a professional landscaper to make sure that they're not using water that we can't, that we can't justify. We're trying to keep the place looking nice. Okay, improper parking. Comment was received from a home about a home that was being used by a family of a deceased owner, and they were parking incorrectly across the driveway. They were parking sideways, and I think we discussed this last meeting. You cannot park your car sideways on your driveway. It must be perpendicular to the roadway. They were also parking their golf cart on the stone because they don't have a golf cart pad. So what can management do about that? I personally, I was given an address where this was occurring. I drove by it, I don't even know, I would say 6 times. Never once have I seen it. So it's not that it's not happening, but just not happening when I drive by there. I did make Christy aware of this, and she and the other people in the office have driven by it trying to see it, and they haven't seen it. If you see something like this, the only thing that's going to stop it is if you personally make the phone call to the office and say, right now, someone is parked incorrectly in their driveway, or the car, something's going on at the house that shouldn't be. They will go out and look at it, and they will send a letter. There are repercussions for it, okay? They're given a warning letter, and I'll explain further where that goes in a minute. But they can't just say, like we do, it was reported that somebody's doing this. They can't do this because sometimes we don't know, does somebody have a grudge against somebody? Was it a one-time occurrence? Those types of things. So people say, well, I'm not going to do that because I'm afraid of repercussions. The office is going to try and get rid of or get back at me, or they're going to tell the person that I'm the one that complained. That's not. And to be honest, that's the stuff that goes on in high school maybe, but it doesn't go on here. You can report things to the office. It's not going to be, like Bud Raleigh said that you parked your car wrong. They don't do that, okay? So, and that's why they need to see it so they can say, we saw it. So, and it doesn't mean just the parking. If it's somebody in the pool that's not supposed to be in the pool, there's glass bottles in the pool. People are in the pool that don't even live here, which has been happening frequently. Whatever it is, if you see a car speeding in here, if you can get the license plate and report the license plate, they do have a way of finding out who the driver is. But we need to participate in that type of thing. If it bothers you, let the office know. And they will do whatever they can to try and take care of the problem. A question was also asked about what happens. We told you that the side gates are closed from 8 p.m. till 6 a.m. And the question came up, what if there is an evacuation that's ordered for the community? How do we get out? And we said at the time that there was an override. The override is with the first responders. If there was ever an evacuation ordered within Las Palmas Grand, the first responders would know about it probably even before we did. They have access to all of the gates in here. They would open the gates immediately. So there's no fear of being trapped inside of Las Palmas because the gates wouldn't open. That is taken care of. Someone drove through and saw that the front gate was open when they left and it was open when they came back, and they were concerned about that. We did have, I don't know if you've noticed, but we do have new, we've had a couple new guards come in, and they go through training, and you know, I guess you got to give them a break. Sometimes there's a little bit of confusion about how things are run. So it was reported, and management said that they would take care of any additional training that needs to be done if ever that happens again. There are specific times during the course of the day that they do leave the gate open because the traffic, they know when there's high traffic coming through those gates. And instead of closing the gate, you know, they press the button, let a car through, close the gate while the next car's waiting to get through the gate. They will leave the gate open to get as many cars through as they can so it doesn't back up out onto Ellsworth Road. And there have been times, I know I've pulled up and there've been 4 cars waiting, you know, to go through. The first one is a visitor and giving their information, and it takes a while for them to get through. So this is something that does happen where traffic does back up. So there are specific times where they will leave the gate open during the high traffic times, and then it's closed. And if they see that, oh, today there's no high traffic, they close it. The gates are kept closed as much as possible because just like we do, we feel that it's better security, and so does management. So they're on board with that 100%. Okay. We were asked about guest passes. In the past, you used to be able to get a guest pass for someone that came in regularly, maybe your son or daughter or grandchildren or whatever that came in to visit. And people used to have guest passes, which was really nice, except that when the resident left, they didn't turn in their guest passes. And so the people that they gave them to were continuing to use the property. And in some cases they found, oh, gee, you know, we're moving back where we came from. You know, we're not going to use this pass anymore. And they give it to somebody else that doesn't have any ties with the community at all. So there were people that were using the guest passes that didn't know anyone in here, that didn't live here. It was just kind of like going around. Then it got to the point where kids from high school were coming in and using the pool because they got a hold of a guest pass, and they'd come in with a car full. So there are no guest passes. There will not be any guest passes. It's too difficult to try and monitor them. Management did check with a lot of different communities, and none of them use guest passes that way anymore. They're very specific with the guest passes where they use them, where they're timed. So they're only good for a certain amount of time. We were also asked about getting keys for the pool, where you'd have to use a key to enter the pool and a key to exit the pool. That's a safety issue. If something happens and people need to get out of the pool quickly, they couldn't do it. So the suggestion was to keep it the only key to go in with a metal plate so that people couldn't reach between the bars to open up the gate. That doesn't work because if you have someone tall, they just reach over the top and open it. So it's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. The key, you can use a key to enter the pool. You can use the handle. Yes, people reach through or reach over and open the gate for themselves. We can't control that. If you see someone that's in the pool that doesn't belong there, the only thing you can do is report it to the office at the time you see it. They will take care of it, and they have stepped up on the amount of times that they do come out and just walk around the pool. They might just come around and introduce themselves or just say hi to people and go back on into their office. There have been several times where people have brought up the fact that there's no consequences. If somebody breaks a rule, there's no consequences. And it's actually Arizona. We have the Arizona, give me a second, I'll remember it. What is it? Landlord Tenant Act. In the Landlord Tenant Act, it does give the owner of a property the right to evict a non-compliant resident. Thesman's process on this currently is you get a letter that says maybe your property doesn't have it hasn't been trimmed, your landscape's not taken care of. What they do with that is that you'll get a couple letters, and then they will come and they will trim your yard and add it to your rent. So that's the repercussions for that. If you have a dog that attacks people, that's considered a safety hazard. So you will get a warning letter to rectify the situation. You have 14 to 30 days to respond by taking care of the problem. The problem, depending on the severity of it, it could be that the dog has to go or you have to go. And people say, well, I'm just going to move out. You can do that. If you want to take your property with you, you can do that also. You can move your home from your lot. But I will tell you, it's $45,000 currently to remove a home from the lot, and then it's $45,000 to place it on another lot, and you have to be able to supply the lot to put it on. So it's that's a no-brainer. The dog goes bye-bye. At least in my house, the dog would go bye-bye. Or you can move, and we did have a couple that chose to move, so that's fine. But there are repercussions. If there's any type of verbal or physical assault, that can be immediate eviction. So I'm saying this, not that we have that problem here. Corinne McWilliams has told us that in the past, yes, they have had times where they have had to evict people. But it's few and far between. And remember, they own 5 properties just here in Arizona. They own 5 properties elsewhere also. So there's 10 total, and she says it doesn't happen often, but it does happen, and they do have the ability to do that. And in Arizona, the Landlord Tenant Act is what gives them the right to do that. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that. Hopefully that will take care of it. But I think the biggest thing is, now that the rules and regulations are up on the website, we're trying to broadcast that as much as possible. You can go there anytime and read them. So you can't say, I didn't know. And somebody new coming in sees, maybe you've been here for 10, 15 years and you have 2 dogs or 2 cats. And if you go and tell them, well, I have 2 dogs, you can have 2 dogs, don't worry about them. That's not true, and it's not fair. It's not a nice thing to do to your neighbor. So if you would just kind of, familiarize yourself with the rules and regulations, I guess, and run with it. And then I think we'll all be happy here. So, all right. Where's my... Okay, the next part of our meeting is we're going to open the floor for any questions. And I know Bob has one. Where'd he go? You have a question, Bob?
Repeat the question.
He wanted to know where is this gray water coming from? That is provided through the city in pink pipes. Okay, so if you have a pink pipe under your house, you're not getting clean water. It's gray water. Okay. We're having trouble with the audio. Okay, anyone else? Any questions? Yes, sir. Is that Dick? Yes.
There, on your website publication of what this board has achieved in the course of the past year?
We put that up every year in November. The current one is for, let me get the years right, 2021. And the next one will be for 21, 22. It goes from November 1st to October 31st. So, let me think. I'm not sure. He wanted to know,
Prior to the election, to show what the board has achieved during the course of the year?
okay, we can, that's a good idea. His suggestion was get the accomplishments of the board for the past year up on the website before the election. It's a great idea. I will check with our webmaster and see if we can get that up there prior to the election. The problem being is that the calendar runs from November 1st through October 31st. Okay, he wants the accomplishments prior to the election. We would have to change the bylaws. Pardon? Yes, but the last one took us 6 months to change the bylaws. So it's not, I don't know if we'd be able to do it for this election. Time. I can get a partial list up. That will go out after the election. Her letter's going out after the election, right after the election, because she wants to post the election results in there. If you want to see it, I'm not sure if I brought it with me today, but I do have a listing of things that we've accomplished so far. It's just that we've always had it, that it was November 1st to October 31st, and we've never had a question like this before. So it would take, pardon me? Oh, it certainly makes sense. Yes, yes. So, and it's something, our secretary is writing notes furiously about this, and we will take this up definitely with the board meeting. So good suggestion. Okay, yes, ma'am.
All summer long, I have been noticing and picking up someone who is walking their dog on First Street is letting their dog do their business, which I have no problem with. I love dogs. Everybody
Me too.
knows I love dogs. But they pick it up in their little plastic bag, they tie it off, and they take it over and hide it behind a piece of landscaping. And so, I mean, it's like a child. You picked it up, you got it in your bag, take it home with you.
Repeat her comment.
Trying not to laugh. Okay. Okay, so the problem that's been presented is that someone is walking their dog on First Street. That's fine. The dog does their business and the owner picks it up, ties it up in the little blue bag and deposits the little blue bag behind some of the landscaping instead of taking it with them. The other suggestion was let's put a trash can over there for people, so they can put their trash in that. I know, it'll be all kinds of stuff, but trash is trash. As long as it isn't the aluminum cans and the clear plastic bottles, then I'm happy. Sure.
What you need to do, if you can, yes, and take a picture.
If I Google it,
Yeah.
I would do more than take a
I know. But that's the only solution we have that management can do anything, is they've got to see it. They've got to,
Yeah.
We're working on it.
Okay. So, and just,
Lisa along First Street is working.
oh, good. Okay. So everyone along First Street is looking for this person that thinks it's okay to put their doggy doo-doo behind a piece of landscaping.
I don't know. I only walk my dog along First Street because that's where I live.
Do you know of any place else that this is happening? Okay.
I don't know where they put it on the days that it's not on First Street.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, this is just, we got a question back here first, Dave.
Grass areas along the freeway, the grass areas, they do have trash cans periodically through there. I'd say put a trash can down there, and they can pick that up like they do every.
Right, yeah. If we can get a trash, he said there are trash cans across, you're talking on Juniper Hills, the green spaces on Juniper Hills. There are trash cans back there. There's nice benches back there. I think it was the year before last, the board finally got a bench over on First Street. So, but at the time, we didn't think there'd be a need for a trash can there for somebody to drop their stuff. Okay, good. Yeah, I thought that was really nice, so. Okay, so we will take that up with management and see if we can't get a trash barrel over there also. So, but yes, community, please help. If you know who that is, or you can get a picture of the person that's doing it, please let the office know. Okay, you don't need to go through the board on those things. You can go directly to the office. You'll get a much faster response if you go directly to the office, because we only meet once a month. So it's much faster to go through the office. Okay, oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so that was our nurse, Debbie O'Ready. Okay, she's the one that is volunteering to help out with the blood pressure and heart rate. As soon as she gets settled, she's only been here a few days, so we got to give her some time to adjust to this wonderful place that she moved into, and then she's going to help us. So thank you very much. Yes. Yes. Yep. Lita. Oh, we have another retired nurse that's volunteering to assist her. Thank you, Lita. Good. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Yes. Okay. 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 You know, I thought this would be the first thing that was going to be mentioned today. So join the club. There's a lot of people that are very concerned about the letter. Okay, so let me tell you what I can tell you at this point. Arizona law says that every landowner like Fessman can raise the rent up to 10% per year. We didn't get 10% per year. If you do the math, you're going to see that it's at least double what it was raised. It was raised $35. We have anybody that lives in here currently is considered being on a lease. It is a 4-year lease. We have not signed any of the new leases that expired at the end of 20. No, they expired December 31st, 2020 is when they expired. 2021, January 2021 was when they were supposed to start the new one. But if you read your lease in there under leases, it says that if you don't sign another lease, it is assumed as soon as you make a payment that you are continuing your lease as is. So the lease that you signed when you first came here is in effect. And I know you said you're new, so you didn't sign a lease. However, were you given a draft of the lease when you came? Did you receive a draft copy of a lease? Okay. All right. So currently, they're hoping that by the beginning of January, the new leases will be available. This has been an ongoing problem, and what we've been told is that the laws, because of the pandemic, it was a new thing that's never hit the country before. There have been so many, they had the leases ready to go and the laws were changed. So they had to go back and revamp certain sections of the lease. And this has happened a couple times, And so consider, and I think well, this is my personal opinion, I'm sorry. Michael Thesman knows that our leases continue. So it's not a pressing issue. We're not in danger of losing our property. There is no way he's selling this property. This is his baby. Las Palmas Grand is his baby. He created this from ground up. It's a family that runs this. It is not a corporate entity. It is a family that owns all of the Thesman properties. Ernie Thesman started it. His son Michael took it over. Michael's sons are trained already to take over when he's no longer with us. So it's continuing in the family. It's a money-making business. They're not getting rid of it. So people don't go into business to lose money or to just break even. They go into business to make money, to go and do the things that we like to do when we make money. Anyway, hold on a second. In there was some confusion about being on a month-to-month lease. We are not on a month-to-month lease. Our leases just continually roll over every month, but we're not on a month-to-month lease. A month-to-month lease, you would actually have to go and sign up to say, I'm on a month-to-month lease. Those people are going to pay an extra premium for that. There's also people who have chosen to be on a one-year lease, and there is an additional premium to be on just a one-year lease. If you're on the 4-year lease, like we all will be as of January 1st or thereabouts, it's a 4-year lease. Your lease is good for 4 years. If you sell your property, the person coming in will assume the balance of your lease. Okay, so you're not tied here for 4 years, okay? Like you are for an apartment or something like that, okay? And just FYI, there's only a very small percentage of landowners that have properties like this that have leases that you have to sign every year, or like here, 4 years. Most of them are on what I call a perpetual lease. Once you sign, you're on it. But that also gives them the right to make changes to that lease anytime during the course of the lease. So they could 1 month say, okay, your rent this month is $2,000, and next month I think it's going to be $2,500 because I know that rents are going up around here. Thesman can't do that. It's once a year. So, and it's based on costs that he incurs. There is a formula. If you look in your lease, there is a formula that they use. They use the CPI. I forgot what the C stands for. Consumer Price Index. They use that and one other factor in order to compute how much our rent is going to go up. It could have gone up as much as $48 a month. No, I'm sorry. It could have gone up as much as $85 a month, and as low as, I think it was $38. Again, we're at $35. The other thing is I know someone that lives in another community here. Their rent went up $60 a month. And the amenities there are, their clubhouse would fit in our ballroom. Their pool is the original pool from when the community was built, with old tiles on it and everything, and it's always dirty. There's a couple activities there, and that's it. And it's broadcast as an active community. So it's the landscaping there is not very good. We live in a very beautiful community with a lot of amenities. So $35 a month, and you look at the CPI, it's gone up a lot. So unfortunately, our rents go up. Donna, you hit something. Oh, okay.
This is the draft of the lease, the draft of the lease. And number 4, what we're in right now is called a holdover tenancy. And I'm going to read that paragraph to you. If a resident remains in possession of the home site after the expiration of the term of this agreement or termination of this agreement and has not executed a new occupancy agreement acceptable to and approved by owner with respect to the home site possession by resident shall be deemed a month-to-month tenancy, which is a holdover tenancy. That's the name of it. An owner may terminate or refuse to renew resident tenancy in accordance with applicable laws, notwithstanding anything contained in this agreement to the contrary. Owner may also thereupon or at any time thereafter upon such notice, if any, as is required by law, increase the monthly base rent then in effect and any other charges of the park without limitation to residents. Peggy explained all that, but it's all in your current lease right now. You probably got the draft, obviously, because we don't have a regular lease yet. But again, you are on a month to month. You signed it. Go to your paragraph 4. You have a holdover tenancy and they can raise the rent. Another thing, the letter that you received, I spoke to the office yesterday and they said they're going to redo the letter because that is so confusing. And they are going to explain it more clearly to everybody. So you should be getting another letter within the next week or so.
According to that month to month, then it's a premium. No sense whatsoever.
Well, that's why they're going to redo it because it did not make sense.
And if you read
Pam?
this,
Who's Pam?
Peg,
Oh, Peggy. No, she said the same thing. The only thing you did mention
I
that
said
it
it's not
wasn't a month to month, but it is month to month. That's all. But everything else she said is in that paragraph.
if you look at the lease, let me get
Mhm.
there. If you look at the lease itself, it says month-to-month tenancy, holdover tenancy. Okay, so we've been talking about a month-to-month. It rolls over month to month, but it's the actual name. You can call it a month-to-month tenancy or a holdover tenancy. We're all in a holding pattern, and nothing is changing. No, it's not. You have not signed a monthly lease. And well, unless you've gone to the office and signed up for a monthly lease where you would be every month, you could be, you could move out next month. If you signed on the 1st of this month, you could move out the 1st of next month. That's a month-to-month lease. We don't have that. We have the 4-year lease that's rolling over all the time, which they put in here under the name of holdover tenancy. So it is in your lease, okay? All right. Is that a good one, or do we need more? I know. Yeah.
They're aware of it too.
Yeah. That comes from corporate, which is,
Sorry?
no, there is no premium. That's only if did you sign a lease that you're only going to live here for 1 month? Did you sign a lease that you're only going to live here for 1 year? That's why they're redoing it. Because there are people that do have a month to month. They signed a lease that says they will, if they pay on the month, they're going to stay that month. There are people in here who have a 1-year lease where they leased it for 1 year. They're trying to get rid of all of those so we don't have any more confusion. There with, this community has been here since, I think it's 22 years, is that 1999. Okay. Okay, so during the course of that time, there have been many changes. And when they started it, you could rent for short periods of time. You didn't have to sign the 4-year lease. So there were those options. Some of those people are still here. Bud's still here. But there's other things. They never paid for garbage when it first opened, but there were only like 50 houses in here. Now it's different. The laws of the state have changed. So, and that's, the laws with pandemic have changed drastically. And it's caused a big problem, not just here, but in a lot of companies that are having difficulties because of the laws that have to be abided by now. So, never fear, you're secure here. I'm a poet and I didn't know it. You're not going to lose your property. You're not going to lose your home. The rent is going up $35. It goes up every year, depending on the CPI and the other one that I forgot the name of. I'm sorry. So any other questions? Okay. Oh, oh, yes.
What time do the gates open for outside people, vendors to come into the park?
6 a.m.
Repeat the question.
What time do the gates open? They open at 6 a.m. There was a problem brought up too, that the gates weren't opening right at 6 o'clock. Check your watches or your, whatever you're using for your time, because it's timed according to the, there's a timer on it, and that one, they've checked it, and it is precise. It was right on the money, but your watch may be a couple minutes fast or a couple minutes slow, so make sure that you check that. If you're having problems with your remote opening a gate or getting through a gate, make sure that you check with the office about your numbers, okay?
I'm just wondering, they start landscaping that early in the morning.
In the summertime, they're allowed to start at 6 a.m. and then in the wintertime, I believe it's 7 a.m. to start landscaping.
But all
Okay.
vendors have to come through the front gate.
I don't care about the vendor, it's the noise.
Oh, yeah, it's 6 a.m. The vendors or the landscapers are allowed to come in at 6 a.m. during the hot months. And then when it cools off a bit, they come in at 7 a.m. Okay, now are we done? Okay, I'm going to, oh, yes, sir. Okay, the question is, when does the solar cover get put on the pool? I am not sure about that, so I will have to check on it. But I do know that during the cooler months, when the temperatures drop at night, there is a solar cover on there. If you see the roll out there, I don't know, I haven't been to the pool lately, but if you see the big roll, that's means that they're putting it on. If it's there, they put it on. Okay, with that, I'm going to end this meeting. Can I have a motion to end the meeting? Thank you. Okay, we're off, and we're going to award the 50-50.